Know yourself, the square of life. In order to attain peace of mind, that elusive goal, the ideal state that all man is seeking, it is necessarily that we balance our square of life. When all four sides are equal, then we find tranquility, peace, and happiness. Needless to say, there are very few who ever reach this plateau. But when we know which road to take, then make a determined effort. We are well on our way. The four sides of life referred to are health, wealth, love, and perfect self-expression. Wealth does not mean just money. Although it is a desired asset, there's nothing wrong in wanting a lot of money, as there is no honor in being poor. Money in itself is never a problem. It is what one does with the money that is important. This could range from being very beneficial to being very damaging and destructive. Wealth, as referred to in the square of life, could also include close family ties, true friends, a feeling of security, etc. Health includes the physical and mental bodies. Love can be defined differently by almost every person. Just try different forms of love, the four most common being storge, the love of close family members; eros, the physical attraction between sexes; philos, brotherly love. Philadelphia is the city of brotherly love. Agape, wishing good upon another person or persons without thought of receiving anything in return. Agape is the love we refer to in this course, love of mankind. Love above all is the perfect gift of oneself, and we can learn to love everyone without exception. You need not like what a person does in order to love him. Try to separate the deed from the person. If you dislike his actions, try to look deeper to discover what motivates him. If your neighbor allows your children to pull up your flowers, or his dogs to ruin your lawn, or some other such annoyance, there is always a reason. Do not hate him, but try understanding him, and please never dislike the children, as they are a product of adult programming. A smile or a kind word might open up a friendly discussion which could clear up all the problems. We wear so many masks that our true self is very well camouflaged, and people seldom see us as we really are. There are times when an individual has a real or imagined problems. When there is no apparent method of solving them, he feels trapped, and his aggression could be released in many ways that do not appear rational. Anytime the action of someone else bothers you, ask yourself why. For what we find objectionable in ourselves and are probably not aware of on the conscious level, we could be subconsciously looking for in others. We see only which we want to see. Our interpretation of what we see is unique to each individual. There is a story about an ex-convict and a priest walking down a street in Skid Row. They saw a seedy-looking man walking towards them with a knife in his hand. The ex-convict's attention was drawn immediately to the knife. The priest saw only the want in the man's eyes. We often dislike certain people because of prejudice, which is prejudging. This is one of the damaging negatives which is often passed on from parent to their children. Small children do not care what color their playmates are or from what country they come from, but they are avid learners and can very quickly learn who are the acceptable ones according to the parents' standards and who are not. Do you think that we in Canada are prejudiced? We are, but it is probably so deep-seated and subtle that we do not recognize it in ourselves. There was an experiment done on the subject with a group of students in a Western university. All the students had the same amount of education, all came from similar backgrounds, from the same social and financial class. They were divided into 4 groups, and each group was given a piece of written material to read, judge, and then report their findings. The material given to each group was identical, the only difference being that each group was given a different name for the author. The first group were told that Arthur Blake had written it. The second group were told that Ethel Blake was the author. The third group were told that Chief Running Dog had written it. The fourth group was told that Joseph Lafreniere had written it. Each group read it, judged it, then had it in their reports as follows. Arthur Blake, very good. Ethel Blake, good. Chief Running Dog, not very good. Joseph Lafreniere, god awful. The exact wording. We wonder how much this type of bias affects our normal day-to-day associations. Do we speak differently to people on the telephone than when we are facing them? Are we more inclined to do business with white people than any other color or ethnic background? It is time that we all did a very critical analysis of our attitude to other people. If we are honest with ourselves, we will most likely find some degree of prejudice. We should then ask ourselves why. Why we are judging a whole group by the actions of one person, or a nation by the actions of a few. As the song says, what the world needs now is love, sweet love. There is a great need for love and understanding between individuals, societies, and countries, if we are ever to see world peace. When we make an effort to understand our fellow man, we allow room for love, a gape to grow. Without love and recognition, there is no life. Just picture yourselves walking down the street where there are many people coming and going, and none of them appear to notice you. You look them in the eye, you smile, you try to attract attention, but everyone just passes by as though you were not there. How long do you suppose it would be before you started to doubt your existence, to wonder if you are really here, or is this just an illusion? An experiment along this line was conducted with 3 rats from the same litter. They were taken at birth and each put into a separate cage. Number 1 rat was fed a good balanced diet. The laboratory attendants gave it a lot of kind attention, and this rat thrived and was healthy and fat. Rat number 2 was fed the same diet, but instead of kind attention, the assistant would give it an electric prod periodically. This rat thrived, but not nearly as well as the first one. Rat number 3 was isolated and never saw another living thing. The same diet was supplied by automatic means, just dropped into the cage. This rat did not live long. The autopsy showed that part of the brain stems had shriveled. People need people. We need strokes. Even if they are negative, this could be the reason why sometimes one person will remain with another, even though he or she is undergoing constant abuse. It appears that negative strokes are better than no recognition at all. Perfect self-expression is fulfilling an inner or innate desire to express one's potential, talents, and capabilities. Many people live their entire physical life without doing the things which they would most like to do or for which they are most suited. This could be from timidity. Remember, the supporter always submitted to the decision of others. Or it could be from a false sense of obligation to some cause. It is well to be committed to a cause if your convictions are strongly in favor of it and the results appear to be positive. Here's another exercise for you. Make up your own square of life using a ratio of 2 inches per side. For example, how do you rate your health? 2 inches, 100%, maybe 1 inch, 50%, or somewhere in between. This is the way we draw the 4 sides, representing health, wealth, love, and perfect self-expression. Each line represents the degree to which each of these applies to your life. If you arrive at a perfect 2-inch square, you need not read further. You have it all together and have found perfect peace of mind and have probably joined the masters. However, if you are at the stage that would not have picked up this book at all, it can be interesting and helpful to see in which areas you fall short. We are always drawn to our weak side, as with the 4-horse team of the chariot racer. All the horses are drawn together toward the weaker one. Not only is he not pulling his share, but he is drawn on the strength of the others. We encounter the sapping of energy in our life. Have you ever noticed that after being in the company of one person, you can feel very good, even elated, and not from any personal attachment or emotion? While after being with some other person, you feel tired and depleted. Some people are leaners. They drain energy from others. These are the ones with personal problems, imaginary or real, who are looking to others to solve them. They mentally unload their burden on someone else. They may have gained by the contact and feel better temporarily, but unless something is done to eliminate the cause, the problem will soon recur. If you do not help this type of person to change his way of thinking, then try to avoid him. Resist not evil. We should not look at life as a series of problems, but rather as a series of projects. A problem is something for which you cannot see the answer. A project is something you know how to handle, which direction to take. It just requires a commitment and the work. Remember, we all have answers within, and if we just take time to relax and meditate, they will come to us. We cannot run away from our problems. When we try to, they just follow us. And remember, as long as we are trying to resist the problem, we are dwelling on it, which is a sure way of nourishing it and keeping it alive. Problems faced head-on with confidence tend to disappear, as many of our problems are just anticipation of trouble, which will manifest, of course, if we believe it. So much of our life is conducted on the 3R system. This is resentment, resistance, revenge. Many things happen which we resent. It could be something someone said or did, or which we choose to take affront. There are two ways of handling this. The better way is to ask ourselves why we feel as we do, and then accept the fact that nothing can hurt us if we refuse to acknowledge it. Try to see that there was a reason for this action. This was a frame of mind or space the person was in at the moment. This was his level of awareness, and he could not have done otherwise. Then forgive the person for the action and forgive yourself for taking offense. Unfortunately, the way most often taken is to foster the resentment, then build up our resistance to it until it blossoms into a desire for revenge. I'll get even attitude. Now, when this type of negative thinking starts to simmer and boil inside, who is the victim and the one most likely to suffer the most? The one who feels resentment or resentful. Of course, for the desire for revenge and the pent-up anger plays havoc with the mental and physical bodies. Life would be so much smoother and easier if we could only learn to relax, to take things as they come, and to try to read hidden meanings into everything that is said and done. Not take affront at so many things. People in general are not really interested in us and our thoughts. They are completely wrapped up in themselves. Words can be very inadequate in expressing meaning and are often misunderstood. So relax, be happy, and live longer. Meditation. Key to balance and harmony is the ability to relax completely, both physically and mentally. When we learn to relax and ease the tension in both body and mind, our thinking becomes clearer. We are better able to see our shortcomings, to see what aspects of our life is hampering our progress and how to strengthen this weakness. The practice of meditation is becoming more and more popular as its therapeutic value is being made more generally known. In order to meditate, one must first be able to relax. In this rat race, treadmill style of modern existence, there are very few who are able to relax without some type of instruction or some muscle relaxing drug. If you have been faithfully practicing the relaxation exercises outlined earlier, you should be ready to practice meditation. Meditation is not something which has been recently discovered. It has been practiced in one form or another since the beginning of recorded history, and probably since the beginning of mankind. Some form of meditation is used in all organized religions, such as silent prayer or contemplation, and in certain sects, chanting is used to produce the same effect. The benefits to be derived from meditation are innumerable, but before citing some of these benefits, it might be in order to explain just how and why it works on the physical and mental bodies. The brain of man, unlike that of all other forms of animal life, is divided into two parts, the right cortex and the left cortex. They work independently, but they are joined together to enable them to work in conjunction with one another. The left cortex is logical and reasoning and controls the right side of the body, In Oriental philosophy, this is the male or the yang side. The right cortex is creative and intuitive and controls the left side of the body. This is the yin or female side in Oriental terms. In a normal, healthy person, two sides should work in harmony to create an even balance. But unfortunately, in harmony to create an as civilization progressed, man learned to depend less and less on intuition and more on logic and deduction, with the result that only the reasoning side of the brain was developed, the creative side being suppressed. When we continually ignore intuition and depend only on logic, we frequently make wrong decisions. Our life then becomes complicated. We are confused, and the result is nervous tension, which brings about physical disorders. The logic side of the brain harbors our intuitions, which makes us reluctant to follow our inner feelings or intuition. We are more aware of the working of our man-made mechanical conveniences than we are our own bodies. We would not buy an 8-cylinder car and then disconnect 4 of the cylinders, allowing the vehicle to run on half power. We know that if we did that, the car would operate drastically before full potential and would burn out more quickly, as it was not designed for 4 cylinders. But we do this to ourselves. We come into this world equipped with a 2-cylinder motor, intuition and logic, but we very soon learn to completely ignore one side. We are then operating far below our capabilities. It has been estimated that the average person uses a mere 10% of his full potential. Through meditation, we can tap into this remaining 90%. The purpose of meditation is to put the reasoning side of the brain into neutral, to let it idle. The intuitive side can then predominate, and this is our direct line to universal mind. Creative intelligence, God, or any other term one may prefer to use. It has been said that prayer is talking to God. Meditation is listening for the answer. Of what use is it to ask questions if we never listened for the answers? All answers are deep down within ourselves and are available to us if we but use the pipeline to universal mind. All prayers should be followed by a period of receptive meditation. When we tune into and heed our intuition, our life becomes more organized, and problems tend to become projects. A problem is something which must be worked on from different angles before the solution can be determined. With a project, the line of action is known, therefore the work is much easier. Also, when we meditate regularly, we find that things which formerly irritated us are no longer a bother. We are able to think better, sleep better, live better, and therefore are happier. We should allow ourselves to be guided more by the voice within, for intuition is always right. How many times have we heard such expressions as, "I had a hunch," "I should have done that," or "something told me that that was not right," and so on. Everyone is born with equal ability to live intuitively. Children display a high degree of intuition, but unfortunately, through modern standards, stress in logic and reasoning, it is usually discouraged through negative programming. The child is told to stop imagining such things, stop daydreaming, and eventually he ceases to hear and see those beautiful guiding messages. Mediums and clairvoyants are exceptions. The longer we live by reasoning alone, the more difficult it is to develop into the intuition. The technique of meditation comes much easier to young people than to older ones. Meditation is the most effective tool for probing the inner consciousness. Throughout time, there have always been some who have not conformed to the logic of civilization, but have adopted a religion or philosophy of their own. They developed a method or technique which allowed them to live in peace and tranquility. The method differs from one group to another, but they all have one common goal, and they all attain one common effect, peace of mind. And the techniques all have one common name, meditation. In the process of meditations, we still the active reasoning side of us and rejuvenate the passive intuitive side. Many astounding things can be achieved when the logic side, which says it can't be done, is held in abeyance, while the creative side, which says anything is possible, is allowed to take over. We believe that nothing is impossible. There is still the question, what is meditation? There is no definitive answer. Words are inadequate to describe it. One cannot know meditation by reading about it, nor by hearing it explained by someone. We can tell you what it does, but we cannot tell you what it is. It is a feeling, a knowing, a sensing. A picture is worth 1,000 words, but an experience is worth 1,000 pictures. One must experience meditation in order to know it. We know that it is desirable to attain ASC, or altered state of consciousness, where the brainwave cycles slow from beta, the wake state, to alpha, the passive state. There are numerous ways of obtaining ASC. There are different schools of thoughts teaching many different methods. We prefer to use mental pictures or a mantra. It is wise to practice with a few of these to find the one most suited to you. What works for someone else may not suit you at all. There are no rights and wrongs in meditation. We are all different, and what you experience while meditating is unique to you. However, there are some general tendencies to be experienced while in alpha state, such as a keener sense of hearing, smelling, and feeling. Also, a deep sense of peace and love, which can extend to euphoria. While in this perfectly relaxed state, the body is able to readjust, to recharge the battery, so to speak, and to heal diseases caused by imbalance. Meditation is generally more restful than sleep. It has been said that 20 minutes of meditation is as beneficial as 2 hours of sound sleep. Sleep is not always restful. Sometimes we waken in the morning more tired than when we went to bed. There are times when the type of dreams we have keep the body so disturbed and restless that it is exhausting. Those who meditate regularly usually find that they require less sleep. In meditation, you can be aware of everything that is going on around you at all times. or you can tune out the physical world almost entirely, except for the five senses. There is never less than 5% awareness in beta level. There is the watchdog, and in the case of an emergency, you would immediately be wide awake and alert. Some people hesitate to try meditation in case they go elsewhere and cannot get back. The truth is, we do not go anywhere. Consciousness is one. We speak to different levels for the matter of clarity. As an analogy, consider your own home. You go from one room to another, each time closing the door behind you. You are then aware of only what is going on in that one room, and unaware of what is transpiring in the other rooms. Instead, visualize it as lifting the dividing screens between the other rooms, so that you are aware of what is going on in all rooms at the same time. Now, while still being more aware of your immediate area, you are not prevented from switching your awareness around to the different areas anytime you wish. In meditation, we lift mental dividing screens. Our knowledge of the complete oneness of consciousness will be greatly expanded when we acknowledge that possibility. Techniques of meditation. The length of time to meditate varies with different teachers. We think the ideal time is 20 minutes, once or twice a day depending on individual needs. To begin with, you may find that 10 to 15 minutes is your limit. But when you practice and get into a routine, you might find 20 minutes feels right. You will not need to time yourself, as your biological clock, your built-in timepiece, will allow you to open your eyes within 1 or 2 minutes, either way, of the desired time. Try to meditate at the same time and in the same place each day, and at a time when you are not likely to go to sleep. Forming a habit is the best way to remember to meditate. Otherwise, you may keep putting it off until bedtime arrives and you could be too tired. Although if you have difficulty falling asleep, meditation at this time might just do the trick. A room for meditation is ideal, but if your living quarters do not permit this luxury, then set aside one particular location in a room and one particular chair. This does not mean that you cannot use this spot and this chair at other times. It just be sure that this is the one you use to meditate. Never try to meditate when you are upset or overtired, or if you find it difficult to sit or to keep your eyes closed. In this case, do one of the relaxation exercises to unwind first. Meditation is a personal and individual thing, and like anything else, it has to be practiced. Do not hesitate to try out different methods. Meditation is dwelling on one thing, one single point, which enables us to clear away the bombardments of thoughts, which are constantly with us, those cobwebs of the mind that cause tensions. We can think only one thought at a time, so when we are concentrating on the mantra, there is no room for any other thought. You will need to find that comfortable place to sit where you will not be disturbed. Remove your shoes and wear loose clothing. Disconnect the telephone, sit with your spine straight, your legs uncrossed, and your hands held loosely in your laps. palms up, and with index finger and thumbs touching. One method in meditation is to focus on a candle flame, not allowing your eyes to wander. After a time, the flame may appear to move from side to side, up and down, and may disappear for a second or two. This is because the eyes is accustomed to moving about continually, registering impressions on the brain. But the logic side of the brain can now stand boredom and will turn off and allow the creative side to take over. So keep your attention on the flame until it starts to grow larger and larger and you are aware of nothing else. It is everywhere about you. It is a part of you and you are a part of it. When you close your eyes, the effect remains with you. If you lose it, open your eyes and start again. With practice, this effect can be achieved at any time or place by merely closing your eyes and recalling the flame. You can also use a light or an icon or a crystal for this purpose. However, it is sometimes difficult to meditate with your eyes open, as there are too many distractions within visual range. A better method is to close your eyes and use a mantra, which is a word that is repeated over and over mentally or aloud in conjunction with the breathing. In transcendental meditation, everyone is assigned a personal mantra by a teacher who has been trained to choose a mantra with vibrations that are compatible with the inner vibrations of the person. This mantra may be lengthened as a person grows spiritually. The words used in TM are Sanskrit with no particular meaning to us. However, there are a number of common English words which can be used just as effectively. For example, love or one is good. Experiment. Use the one that feels most comfortable to you. You might try also which is a part of a general Eastern mantra. But once you have chosen a mantra, you should stay with it. Do not change. Be very confident in your choice. To use the mantra, sit in a comfortable position described earlier. Take a deep breath and slowly exhale. Now locate a spot at about a 45-degree angle above eye level. Do not raise your head, just your eyes. Now focus on this spot as you inhale deeply. Hold for 5 seconds. Then as you slowly exhale, close your eyes. Now concentrating on your breathing, breathe normally. But be aware that as you inhale, you are taking in life-giving oxygen. And as you exhale, you are dispelling the toxins from the body. Inhale now. And as you slowly exhale, mentally say the mantra slowly and drawn out for the length of time it takes to exhale. Continue in this fashion, inhaling and exhaling with the mantra. After a time, you may find that your thoughts wander and that you are no longer using the mantra. If this happens, and it usually does, just gently bring your awareness back to the mantra and continue. As you progress with practice, you will find that your thoughts wander less and less. You may find that after the designated 20 minutes, you are unable to recall your thoughts at all. You know that you were not asleep, but you are just unaware of that period of time, and you may be surprised of how quickly the 20 minutes pass. Time as we know it is man-made to measure progress in the physical objective world, while in the state of meditation we are constantly dipping into the subjective level of creative intelligence, where there is no division as time, just the eternal now. So you may not have been aware of events in time. On the other hand, you may have been aware of everything that went on, all the normal noises and activities, and you may wonder if you were really meditating. You can test this the next time you meditate by placing your awareness more fully on your breathing and on your heartbeat. You can detect the heartbeat if you think about it. If your breathing is slower and more shallow, the heart rate is slower than in the wakened state. If you have no desire to open your eyes because you are so comfortable where you are, if the sounds out there are of too little importance to hold your attention, then you are meditating and proudly dipping repeatedly into alpha state. Also, the time will appear to elapse more quickly because you remember only the time between those alpha samplings. When you first start to meditate, it is sometimes helpful to have background sounds such as soft music, not a popular tune, as you might find yourself humming along with it, or a recording of ocean waves or a waterfall or other sounds from nature. We like the sounds of the surf as it is repetitious and the logical side of the brain, as noted earlier, cannot stand monotonely and will turn off. But do not allow yourself to become dependent on such outside aid, for the goal in meditation is to turn your awareness as deeply as possible to the inner self. Also, you should learn to meditate in any place at any time without any form of aid. A good point to remember for beginners is that you should not try consciously to reach alpha state. It is better to adopt an I don't care, wait and see attitude, like sitting in a theater, waiting for the curtains to rise on a play which you know little or nothing for. The harder you try, the more you are keeping the reasoning side of the brain active. And that is just an exercise in futility. You may find after you have been meditating for some time that you are becoming more and more aware of your surroundings. You feel as though you are not going as deeply as before and wonder if you are losing the technique. This is not usually the case. It is more likely that you are expanding your awareness to include, to a small degree, more than one level of consciousness at a time, the ultimate in meditation, sometimes attained by those who devote years exclusively to the study and practice, is to have total awareness at will in all levels of consciousness simultaneously. These are the enlightened ones, the spiritual teachers. If you find during the day's activities that you are in need of a mental or physical boost and you do not have 20 minutes to spare, it is very helpful if you can find a spot where you can be alone for about 8 to 10 minutes. Sit down, take a long breath, close your eyes, and draw on some of the infinite supply of universal energy. After a time, you may find that you can do this anywhere, such as on a bus, train, or plane. When you see When people see you with your eyes closed, they will assume that you are napping and will not disturb you. When you are faced with having to make a decision, take a few minutes to relax in this way. And you'll find that this will help you to see things more clearly. We know of one man whose position requires him to make decisions and supply information in a short period of time. He found that the men's room supplied him with the needed privacy where he can lock himself in for 5 to 10 minutes, relax and guide the awareness to the inner self, to intuition. About 95% of the time he arrives at the right answer. Intuition is never wrong, but sometimes our interpretation of the information can be wrong. This is dealt with more fully in the section on dreams and symbols.